Hey, it's James Mulvaney here. Welcome to this video. If you've built a radio station, perhaps you have got a great following, a great community of listeners who keep coming back for more, and you're producing awesome content, but you're not generating enough revenue. Well, in this video, I want to talk about exactly that. How do you make money from running an online radio station? So perhaps you assume the only way to generate revenue from your radio station is by running those annoying spot adverts every 15 or 20 minutes. That's not the case. In fact, in today's video, I want to give you 7 different methods that you can go out and implement to generate some revenue from your radio station. All of that is coming right up. Okay, so the first strategy I have for you today is by implementing a paywall or subscription plan for your listeners. Now, this has been used more and more in podcasts and in online radio to provide value to listeners without having to run annoying adverts, which are going to just turn people off and literally get people to switch off. You want to keep people engaged, you want to keep people listening. Now, the trick behind this is to, number one, make people feel like they're buying into something special, you know, like a VIP club, and make sure that you're giving them really good quality content that they otherwise wouldn't have access to. Also, I think pricing is really important. You don't want to be charging listeners so much money that when they look at their credit card bill the following month, they're like, oh, do you know what, that $15, quite a lot, I'm going to cancel that. You want to make it very, very low, so micro continuity. I suggest starting with $2 to $5 a month and focus on building volume. So you think $2 to $5 a month, it's not very much. It's not going to be like a case of, I look at my credit card statement, that's a lot of money, I'm just going to ignore that transaction and let that kind of repeat for month and month after. But you know, you need to make sure you're over delivering. So, you know, produce as much content as you can, especially for your VIP subscribers. And also use a service like Patreon or Get DPD. I've got a tutorial on radio.co which shows you how you can create a private stream or a membership area using DPD. Patreon or PayPal are also very, very popular. Just make sure that you're giving your members access to content that otherwise they wouldn't have available. Okay, so my second monetization strategy is merchandise. Now, people love merchandise, you know. I'm not just talking like the old traditional sort of mugs and key rings, but things like clothing. You know, hoodies, t-shirts. How about things like laptop cases or phone cases? Stuff that people have and use on a day-to-day basis. And the great thing about services like Cafe Press and Teespring.com is they print on demand. So you don't need to have this big inventory or a big warehouse full of stock. You can design your clothing, your apparel, yes. Just say we'll stick with clothing. So the great thing about these services is they are literally print on demand, which means just that. So you can upload your designs and they will get printed when a customer orders it. So you don't have to carry a huge amount of stock, and you can have various different designs. You can have a huge range of different options that you give to your listeners. Now, a word on merchandise. A lot of people are just tempted to think, okay, well, I'll just stick my station logo on a huge t-shirt, you know, like a big logo in the middle, and people want to buy it. Well, of course, people don't necessarily want to buy that. You know, you're not Nike, you're not Adidas. Realistically, what you need to be doing is being a bit savvy, being a bit clever about your design. So for example, if you're running a radio station and you play music from the 60s and 70s and 80s, which is like classic rock, well, look at the artists that you play. Go back in the history books. What quotes have they come out with that are prolific and kind of gone down as sort of prolific things? Or how about lyrics from songs that everyone knows and loves? Sure, you can have your station logo, your website address, but that shouldn't be the main focus of your merchandise. You should be thinking about what people want to wear. Try and come up with some clever catchphrases, you know, whether that's song lyrics or quotes from famous people that people will actually want to have on their clothes, and try and make them designed so they kind of look cool as well. You know, you want to stick away from word art and things like that. If you can't design stuff yourself, I suggest hiring designers to actually create some logos and some stuff for you. You know, again, you don't need to have a million different options to begin with. You know, create 3 or 4 really cool cutting edge designs and create stuff that people will want to engage with and wear. That's the trick to being successful by selling merchandise online, and there are plenty of people who do this who don't run radio stations. The benefit you've got is you already know your audience. You know what music they listen to, you know what songs they like, so you immediately have that kind of connection with people, which you can create some really cool merchandise around the theme or the genre of your radio station. So strategy number 3 is affiliate marketing. So what's affiliate marketing? It's really simple. You are basically taking a cut of when someone makes a purchase on someone else's website. This again is fantastic because if you have a captive audience, if you have lots of traffic, say to your blog, your website, you can put links in recommending products or services on other people's websites and just take a commission. I suggest looking at digital products because generally the commission levels are very high. If you go on sites like clickbank.com, for example, let's say you have a chill out station, right? And go on to ClickBank, there'll be loads of products in the kind of health, mental health, well-being space that you can potentially recommend to people who are looking to relax, maybe products to help people with their sleep. You know, look at what is applicable to your audience. Effectively, some of these products will have commission rates up to about 40 or 50%. So if someone makes a purchase, you take half that sale price. So it's a really good way of generating revenue quickly without really creating or doing anything. All you're doing is just diverting some of your listener traffic to products that you recommend and endorse. So next up is crowdfunding. What's crowdfunding? Well, it's simply when someone wants to raise a lump sum of money for a specific target. For example, like you might want to create a new website, or you might want to buy some new equipment for your studio, or you might want to hire some new presenters. And you crowdfund, quite literally, you ask lots and lots of people to pay small amounts to help you raise this amount of money. Now, I think the benefit of crowdfunding is it's become really popular over the past sort of 5 to 10 years. Sites like Indiegogo and Kickstarter are common household names now, so people feel comfortable and confident in helping you with your cause. The main trick to crowdfunding is offer some awesome incentives. So in a similar way to, you know, having a subscription service, perhaps offer some bonus content for people. You could even maybe offer tickets for gigs or tickets to an event that you're running, or it could be that, you know, invite people into your studio, or you even invite people to do their own show. I've seen a lot of different ways that radio stations have used crowdfunding very, very successfully. I think you just need to make sure that you're being creative with the sorts of incentives that you offer. A great example of a successful crowdfunding campaign was our friends and Radio.co client, Melodic Distraction, who are based over in Liverpool. They raised over £10,000 last year using a crowdfunding campaign. I'll show you a link on the screen now so you can go and check what they did out. It's pretty cool. So next up is the traditional in-stream advertising. Now, you don't necessarily have to go and play 30-second spot ads like every other radio station does. You can be more creative about this. You can have a sponsor who perhaps will sponsor a feature or will sponsor daytime programming. You know, if you can find that one headline sponsor that's really relevant to your audience and willing to pay a significant amount for a complete station-wide kind of sponsorship package, that can be a really powerful way to fund the majority of the running costs of your radio station. It's just about finding that right sponsor. Now, how do you do that? Well, I recommend you start by creating a one-page pitch. This is effectively something that you can send out to lots of advertisers that you think would be relevant, which outlines, you know, how many listeners you're getting, what sort of website traffic you get, what kind of content you're producing on your radio station, the shows, the sort of audience that's listening. You know, as much information you can tell potential sponsors as possible is good. You know, if you're playing music to a classic rock audience, you know, of a certain age, you know, you want to get that in there. Let's also talk about what you see the radio station doing over the next few months, and also how it ties up with the product or service that that sponsor's offering, and why you think that they would be a good sponsor for your radio station, and also, of course, how you think you can deliver value to their business. The good news that you have about finding sponsors is more and more companies are willing or turning to online audio advertising that weren't before. So with many businesses, yes, they would run adverts on traditional radio station networks, on FM or digital radio stations, you know, covering a certain area. However, many more companies now are willing to be experimental with their advertising budgets and test new mediums. For example, internet radio and podcasting, which they wouldn't have touched even 3 or 4 years ago. So advertising is still an option for you. The main thing you need to do is create a one-page pitch and go and start having some conversations and speaking to potential advertisers. All right, so the next monetization strategy is events. Now, there are 2 ways that radio stations can get involved with the events business, I think. Firstly is running your own events. You can charge for entry, of course, and this works particularly well if you're running an event in a local area, if you've got a localized radio station. You can also attract big sponsors to actually sponsor your events. We did this really successfully with a company called Pioneer, who manufacture lots of DJ equipment, and we actually held an event in a museum underneath a big kind of T-Rex skeleton, which was absolutely awesome. We created a good video for Pioneer and attracted a sponsorship fee for producing the content, also for sponsoring the event, and we attracted a crowd of a few hundred people. Another way that you can get involved with events is not necessarily running your own events, but actually getting involved with other people's events as a radio station. Now that could be producing content for them, or it might be, you know, actually DJing or running like a master of ceremonies type service where you could charge other people for those services to the events, but also you're having kind of like a double-edged benefit there, because not only are you getting paid for your contribution to the event, but you're actually using the event as a platform to promote your radio station. So yeah, I think events are really, really good. And of course, nowadays, a lot of events have been moving online. If you can rally up perhaps a certain selection of live act music stuff that you can be kind of pushing out, you can charge for potentially like a virtual gig or a virtual festival. You know, we've seen people doing all kinds of interesting things, broadcasting live sets from big name DJs or from, you know, singers or bands. Just be creative and think about how you can use events to your benefit and how you can really generate revenue from events. So my final strategy to generate revenue for your radio station is by running competitions. Now these have been around for years and years and years. You know the type of competition I'm talking about. Quite often it'll be, you know, ring a premium rate phone line or text a premium rate number. You'll get charged a few dollars for your entry, and effectively it's like a raffle. You know, you get an entry and, you know, the lucky winner gets drawn out, and they might win a holiday, they might win like a bunch of cool stuff like signed merchandise and CDs, or it could be that they even win a big cash prize. These work very, very effectively because it's something that people kind of do. They think there's a huge opportunity to win a big prize package, and it only costs them like $1 or $2 to enter. And most commercial radio stations will then start building a list of numbers that they know will enter these competitions on a regular basis. Each time they roll out a new competition, they'll then send a text message, you know, a bulk text message to each person who's entered the previous competition and say, hey, we're running a new competition, do you want to enter? If you just want to enter, reply yes. And of course, it's a really easy way, especially if you can get a few hundred people or a few thousand people entering these competitions at a time, to raise significant revenue. People love winning these competitions. Of course, when you get a winner, you know, you can create content from that winner. So get them on the phone, you know, interview them, do a video of the big prize being dropped off at their house if they've won like a TV or something. There are so many things you can do with competitions and make them exciting. Make sure you're creating content from them, and make sure that you're referencing them on air and on your website and across social media as well. So there we have it, 7 different methods that you can implement into your radio station right away to start generating some significant revenue from your audience. So of course you don't have to implement all 7 of those methods tomorrow into your radio station. You can really mix and match, and you can choose what you think is right for your particular demographic or audience. But what I wanted to do with this video is really just give you some ideas that show that you don't have to just monetize your radio station by playing those annoying 30-second adverts, you know, every 15 minutes as an ad break. There are so many different ways that you can generate revenue now via a radio station. We are seeing some really exciting case studies at the moment with people who are making tens of thousands every single month, or even hundreds of thousands every single month using their online radio stations. If you've got any questions or comments, or even got any more ideas of how you can generate revenue for your radio station that perhaps I haven't mentioned today, I'd love to hear from you. So please put them in the comments below, and perhaps we'll create some more videos in future just like this one. And finally, please remember to give me a big thumbs up if you've enjoyed watching this video. It helps with the algorithm, and it will help spread this content to even more people like you who are doing innovative things in the online radio space. All right, thanks very much for watching, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye for now.